Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to talk about the topic of vigilantes versus heroes. What I mean by this, because like recently, much like a lot of stuff I've been making videos about recently, like it starts off as a tangent on like podcasts, but basically like how one superhero could be labeled a vigilante while another is just a superhero, you know? And I just think that's fascinating. Like the best examples I can give right now is like comparing Green Arrow on Arrow to the Flash on the Flash. Why? Because once again, that's what I'm most familiar with. Once again, I'm not a comic book expert, so anything I'm saying that's comic book wise is stuff I picked up from other people or a little research I've done on my own, so stuff like that. So don't take like everything I'm saying as fact because I know diddly squat. Okay, I know a very small amount about comic books, so just keep that in mind. I literally have to say that every time, like, you know, it has to be a little asterisk. I don't know comic books that well. I should pretty much put that everywhere, nevertheless. So what I'm talking about is like, because I looked it up, like obviously the term for a vigilante is someone that works outside of the law, essentially, kind of takes the law into their own hands. But then it's like, technically every superhero like works outside of the law. I mean, because to me, when I think vigilante, I always think of, I typically go like people like the Punisher the most, because it's like, oh, they go and they actually kill people. So I thought that's what it is, but it's like, no, like anytime you take the law in your hands in general. Like, for example, like amongst the Netflix shows, like Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage, they are all technically vigilantes. I mean, Daredevil, I guess I can kind of get because it's along those same lines as like Batman, and Batman's technically a vigilante even though he works with cops. Because a lot of times, like, cops have a big problem with the way Batman handles things. Usually the only one that's pretty cool with it is Gordon. Like, he makes an exception because he sees the good that Batman does. But it's like, you know, because it's just that weird thing. Going back to it, it's like, what's the difference between the Flash and Green Arrow? They do the exact same thing. They protect the city. Green Arrow has saved the city, he has saved Star City multiple times, just like the Flash has saved Central City multiple times, but one is garnished as a hero while another one isn't. Like I said, I guess it's also because like the Flash does technically work with the cops, but let's not forget that technically, like with the whole metahumans thing, they were locking metahumans up without really doing the due process thing. It's become more of a recent thing of like, oh, they're working more with the police. Obviously, like Star Labs hooked them up with more tech to kind of like, and equipment to kind of help battle against metahumans. So, you know, it's just an interesting thing to me, like why the Flash is seen as a superhero, whereas like Green Arrow is a vigilante. Like, I get his angle in certain regards, why being a vigilante, because unlike most other superheroes in that whole Arrowverse situation, he kills people. Like like Supergirl doesn't do that. The Flash doesn't do that. So. And once again, Legends of Tomorrow, they're kind of open their own. I guess arguably you could still call them vigilantes, kind of taking things in their own. I mean, since they're kind of taking the whole like fixing time into their own hands, even though there's actually an established group to do that. But to be fair, that's a whole thing in itself. I mean, because let's think about something like S.H.I.E.L.D. Technically, S.H.I.E.L.D., I would argue, is a vigilante group. Technically, I mean, it's really a government-funded secret spy organization, but still, they kind of do a lot of stuff outside of the law and the way they handle things, especially at certain points, you know, even with the, like with the TV show, like, you know, the point where like Daisy kind of went a little off on her own. She was very vigilante-like, but still, it's like, I think that's kind of a gray area right there. Another example is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's, I think, technically considered a vigilante. I don't know whether that's where people in general feel like he's a vigilante, or whether it's like, you know, because it's mainly J. Jonah Jameson saying like, no, he's a vigilante. I mean, that's just because JJ hates him, but still, like, to me, I look at it as like, is it a perception thing? Like, what's up with that? I mean, because like if you have the entire city backing you, does that make you a vigilante? Because the whole thing going on with Green Arrow right now in the TV show Arrow is the fact is that, like, I used the example before, I was talking, might have been in a podcast, but in season 4 he had the entire city backing him up when he was fighting Damien Dark. But obviously there's the whole conversation now, well, are vigilantes good, bad? The whole city voted on whether or not you should support vigilanteism and stuff like that, and it was just fascinating to me. Like, that's not even a conversation that comes up for the Flash. It's like, oh, should we ban superheroes or something like that, or Supergirl or Superman, you know? It just makes you wonder a lot. I mean, to be fair, like, you know, in Supergirl's case, she kind of works alongside the cops as well, and also she's working with the DEO, which is also a government organization, so it's kind of got that S.H.I.E.L.D. element to it as well. But it's like, I mean, they're a lot more, I mean, they're still a secret organization, but I think it's still like, it's a lot more out in the open and they do kind of work with local cops and stuff like that in national cities. So I mean, that's ultimately my question, like what is the difference? Like what really determines a superhero from a vigilante? Not even just like, you don't even have to kill to be considered a vigilante. Like how do you differentiate between like taking the law in your own hand as a vigilante versus taking the law into your own hand as a superhero? Because I feel like literally every superhero has taken the law into their own hand. I mean, what about like kind of galactic level superheroes? Like, I mean, technically like the Lantern Corps. I mean, using the Green Lanterns as an example is like I mean, the Corps technically, they have bosses, don't they? I don't remember. Once again, not that familiar with the Green Lantern Corps, but it's like they have bosses, they have people they answer to, but they kind of work on like galaxy level of going to different places, helping out, because like the Lanterns are from all different places and different planets and stuff like that. So it's like, is there like a space law enforcement that they work with? That, you know, I mean, do let me know, because I don't know. And then I'm using the Guardians of the Galaxies as an example. It's like they have the Nova Corps kind of backing them up in a lot of their actions, but I think they still kind of run a little wild and do what they want to. But I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Like, the only thing I have to go by is the movies, which never tackled that too much. It does, like, I know there is the animated series, which I haven't seen anything of, so I don't know if there's a lot more of a close relationship with law enforcement in that regard, where they help lock up criminals, or do they just take everything into their own hands? Like, stuff like that, you know? It's like, it's such a hard thing to like distinguish in my mind. Like, there's certain superheroes, like I said, once again, using the Punisher for example, it's like, you know, he's a vigilante, you know, he's like a prime example of like, oh, that's what a vigilante is. But at the same time, it's like, well, there's all these other superheroes that you don't think about it too much, but technically they would fall into that category too. And it's just, to me, it's such a fascinating subject. Like I said, I think it's such a perception thing. I mean, honestly, I want to pass that question on to you. What are your thoughts about that? Do you really understand the whole like vigilantes versus hero situation? Like, what are your thoughts about it? Do you agree with what I said? Do you like know? Like, if you haven't figured it out, please do explain it to me, because I'm an idiot and I can't really tell much difference. So I'd love to get your thoughts on it. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.